Hi folks, looks like my video toys are working again. This green guy's kind of cool, huh? Guy, gal, who can say? Anywho, I had actually already gone to bed, turned all the lights out, listening to Eckhart as I was going to fall asleep when, well, I just didn't think I was going to be recording today, but something came to me that I wanted to share, and I think it's important. So I got up and turned the lights on, and here I am in all my green and purple glory, huh? It's empowerment, and we're getting there. More and more we're getting there. We're not putting up with crap anymore. And we're looking and we're seeing more of it instead of just being blind and hypnotized and sleeple and stuff. And that's really good. Well, I think the fast track to empowerment is to remember who and what we are. And that's a little tricky because when we're divine, well, it's one thing to say, okay, I'm divine. And it's quite another to implement that. We just have too much programming that goes against it. And so I wanted to talk about that for a minute. There's nothing more empowering than remembering who and what you are. And there's nothing that's going to help us take our life back faster than remembering this. So, what do we need to do? I mean, it's simple, and maybe the mind can accept it, and maybe it can't. See, we've gone all this way believing in all these things we couldn't do. We're only human. You know that little phrase that needs to be, pardon me, it needs to be shit-canned. We're not only human. Well, I guess this guy was the obvious choice for that message, but I didn't think of that. Anyhow, what do we need to do? Gosh, it was so clear while I was laying there, but by the time I got the lights turned on and everything, I mean, saying we're divine and we need to claim it sounds great, but how do we make that practical? How do we do that? Well, okay. Here's something I'd like to share. I might have mentioned it before, but there's the inner world government and there's the outer world government. And the outer world government is the one where you go and you cast your vote and you get whatever garbage is available, you know, Republicrats. And I don't suppose it's much different in the other countries either. I think behind the scenes we've had a one world government for a long time. And it's the commercial stuff linked up with it too. I think the mega corporations that are global, they're not American folks. They're really not. They're global. Are running things and pulling strings and, you know, paying their bribes and, PACs or whatever it is. Anyway, okay, so here's the deal. One thing you never want to do is hear something on some video or another and get depressed, or let it minimize you in any way. So there's the inner world government and there's the outer world government. In the outer world government, right now it's more or less a game. I mean, it would be really nice if it was working and functional. But anyway, you know how the outer government works. What I want to share is my understanding of how what I'm calling the inner world government works. And that's you and me. Each of us has a certain frequency, a certain level of development, a certain, let's just call it a measure of light. This is all very linear. It's not a great way to put it, but when we're using words, you know, it's kind of cramps your style. So let's just say we each have a glass that's full of light. And depending on how high up the glass your light is, that's the power of your vote. So that when somebody with a full glass casts their vote and somebody with an almost empty glass casts their vote, it's not a one-for-one thing. It goes by the measure of light manifest there. We could also say by the measure of purity. We could also say by the measure of emptiness, because the light is the light, it's the one. Anyway, and the way you vote is when you see something, let's say you hear a truther speaking out, whether it's a scientist or whoever it is, exposing something, and you get the sense, my God, that cuts too close to the bone, that's too much truth, And so you make a call for the protection of that one and their ability to speak and the protection of what has been said. And so, in a way, you just cast your vote. When you see something that is upsetting about how people are being abused, and Lord knows it's across the board, just look anywhere. Lately, I've been boning up on the microwave and the RFID and the mind control and these kind of things, and the experimentation done on humanity without their knowledge and all that. It's enough to kind of, stir anybody up, anybody who's awake. And so you see that, and once upon a time, it might have put me into a tailspin. I might have gotten sad or depressed or felt powerless and that kind of thing. Only now, when that kind of a response, well, it usually doesn't come up. But when that kind of response comes up, you want to turn away from it. You don't want to let that get the better of you. And so, be empowered, know you're divine, and make a call. Make a prayer, make a whatever you want to call it. Now, I address source and higher self. Right now, I'm not addressing anybody else. I'm not calling for angels or friendly ETs or anything like that. I'm going directly to the source and to my own higher self, because I know I'm a part of that. And I cast my vote. And sometimes, typically I want the abusers of power stopped. I want their power removed. I want what they've been applying to the people to be applied to them, that kind of thing. And I can get pretty intense with it. It's not really an anger, but it's a really intense energy that this is not right, and it's a call for justice and fairness. And so this is really empowering, because we see crap every day of the week, just about. You almost have to sleep through the day not to hear something or another that's truly negative. But if you're knowing who and what you are, then you have recourse direct to the heart of God. And you can cast your vote. And your vote is no small thing. All right? The power of the one who casts a vote, who has a lot of light, it's magnetic. And so people that aren't sure of which way to cast their vote will be moved to cast their vote in the same way that one did. And it's all physics. I really don't think it's mumbo jumbo. We just don't know. Our science is stuck in the Freudian days, in the Darwinian days, in the particle physics days, We know there's no particles. We know electrons are not particles, they're potentials and all that kind of thing, and until they're seen or observed, but it doesn't matter what we know. We have to wait on the old scientists who are the ones in power now to cross over before the new ideas can come in. At least that's the way it's been. So cast your vote. Be empowered. Every day we have all kinds of choice points, all kinds of opportunities to make a choice. I firmly believe we're each creating our own future, if you will. We're creating the reality. And there are multiple realities. And so it's important what we create. It doesn't matter that everybody else doesn't go along with us. That's not important. They have their free will too. But as light beings, we need to be remembering who we are, because we came in to make a difference. Not just to put up with crap. Not just to be downtrodden and all of that and long suffering and, the meek will inherit the earth. Maybe they will, and that's fine too. But, there's an alpha and an omega to this. There's a yin and a yang. And it's fine to be empty, and it's fine to be allowing, and it's fine to be non-resisting. This isn't resisting life. I don't see this as resistance. This isn't negative at all. This is your heart being inspired to do something. And if you remember who and what you are, then the word is mighty. I believe a lot of times in sacred scripture, like the Bible, you'll find the word sword used, S-W-O-R-D. I think that can at times be a code word for sacred word. The word has the power to create. And obviously you don't say a word if there's not some intent behind it, So we are creators, my friends. And I just think it's important that you know this. You don't even have to believe in God for this. I think atheists can do this too. It's a physics kind of a thing that's going on here. I believe it's a higher science. I think everything can harmonize. In the end, it can all harmonize, and the people that want a religion can have that. The people that don't want one can have that. The people that want to be intensely spiritual, we can all get along, friends. Even with our Martian brethren, or Venusian, or, Mercurian, or whatever. Whatever and whomever. It's all one. And so, I hope this is empowering. I'm really and truly enjoying each step, each day, as I'm claiming my own divinity and beginning to walk in that. And I slip, sure I do, but you catch yourself sooner and sooner. Instead of going days, I used to go weeks sometimes, and I'd forget to be in heart, seriously. And I resisted putting up the Post-its everywhere so that I'd have the reminder. Finally, I gave in and went ahead and did that. But anyway, there's shorter and shorter times between remembering who we are. And the more we remember who we are and touch bases with that, the more of ourselves we can put in heart and be there longer, more intensely, and more often. The more we're connecting up with what we're here for. And we will be inspired to make the right call at the right time. And honeys, when we cross over and we're standing there on the other side, whether we ascend or lay the body down, it doesn't even matter. Don't be attached to any kind of outcome. Let it all go. That way you can be so fully in the moment and not worried about anything, not tied to anything. You don't have any strings for anybody to pull if you can let it all go. And that too is empowering. When we're standing on the other side and we have the fullness of our vision back and the fullness of our knowledge and our awareness and all of that, when we're back in light body, we'll be able to look back and see that, by golly, our words made a difference. You know, the prayers that we made, sometimes they might even save someone's life. I'm serious. I pray for the truthers. You know how it is. That they used to be, they'd get squished like bugs. Right now, I'm waiting for the geneticists to begin to speak up. Do you realize that all humans are hybrids? Every human body is a hybrid body. I didn't put that together. I was being really bothered by the whole program with the grays, you know, and the crossbreeds, the hybrids that they're trying to install here, looking like people, and I was letting that get to me until it clicked. And I don't know if I heard somebody else say it or what. I probably did. But we know the ETs have been here before. We know there has been crossbreeding or genetic tampering or what. We know that alien or extraterrestrial seed has been mixed in to our genome. Kind of funny that in the Genome Project that was never identified, or if it was never spoken of. We know too, or the word is out, that some of our children are being born with 3 strands of DNA. You know, the government's been mighty antsy to get DNA databases going. They want all of our cell phone, they want every identifying bit of information they can get on us. Well, they're afraid of us. Okay, so what? That's their problem. That's not our problem. Ours is to wake up. And when you stand with your voice, your word, behind truth and behind light and in support of that, that too makes a difference. I mean, with a body like the one I've got that just it kind of hobbles around, you know, it's frail is a good word. I use that one. It at least sounds a little feminine or something. I don't know. Anyhow, I don't have muscles and that kind of strength to get out there and do. But oh my God, a spirit that's on fire, I have that. And I can't believe it's not worth anything. I know better. Okay, so if you've got both the strong body and the spirit that's on fire, so much the better. You can do more. Okay, so I guess the bottom, well, let me be sure. I'm always so quick to try to cut these things off. And I promised somebody I wouldn't be doing that anymore. So let me go on a little bit more and let this thing come to a natural end. Maybe that's all there is to it. Just being empowered, and instead of being crushed by the obvious power that's wielded by the dark force. Call them what you will. The Illuminati, the powers that were, the bad guys, you know, the cabal, whatever. There's a real abuse of power there, and there's loads and loads of power that they've accumulated to themselves. And even though it's in the midst of free fall and they're losing it, the fact is they have so much that it's going to take a good little while for it to come apart sufficiently that they can't give us a hell of a hard time. So when we see it, it can be crushing. When we hear the way it's wielded, the dishonesty, the secrecy, the absolute, I mean, it's beyond a lack of ethics. And it can make you mad, but you know, anger covers fear. And so we don't have to be afraid anymore. There's nothing to fear. Again, it's just a matter of remembering who we are. You put that belief in, you plant it into your belief garden as your newly chosen, carefully chosen belief. I am divine. I am a source beam. I am a thought in the mind of God, you know, here to do whatever the thought of God would do. there's a lot of weeds that are going to have to be pulled in order to have your divinity take over. And so there's a lot of choice points where you'll have to make the choice not to be crushed, not to submit, not to think you're small and ineffectual, not to think there's nothing you can do, not to think you're powerless. All of that has got to go. And simply the one belief, I am divine. I am a source beam. That one belief is enough to re-empower all of us. Once we remember who and what we are, there's no stopping us. Ain't gonna happen. And nothing matters. I don't care if there does come a disaster. It doesn't matter. You're just as powerful, no matter whether you have the body or whether you don't. Okay? We can get back into the game. We've reincarnated. We've got all kinds of lifetimes going right now. And when we cross over, it's the most pure, the most intensity of joy that the human cannot even imagine. I mean, it's beyond any of that. So it's also time to start celebrating. I think the Irish have it right when they have a wake. They're the only ones I've heard of that party when somebody crosses over. You know, if we were making sense, we would mourn when we're born and party when we die, or when the body dies. Okay, have I ruffled enough feathers for now? I think maybe so. Anyway, you know, I'm just sharing some different perspectives. So you've got more to choose from now, right? Make your own choices. Namaste.